Much has been said about the e-books versus the one laptop per child program. Upon assuming office in 2021, an immediate act of our administration, Mr. Speaker, was to move away from the disaster of what is commonly referred to as the e-book program and reinstate the well-lauded one laptop per child initiative. Mr. Speaker, this action was not taken because we were being spiteful and wished to do away with a project because it was rolled out by the previous administration, but rather, Mr. Speaker, because we are convinced that the current approach is more sustainable and will evoke a greater sense of national pride than the continuous repatriation of funds to foreign companies in the name or under the guise of license fees. Added to this, Mr. Speaker, is the fact that the e-books or the learn books, Mr. Speaker, were not being utilized and the device itself was not durable. It was faulty. It was flimsy, Mr. Speaker. And permit me to expound, Mr. Speaker, on this and provide a bit of history. During the academic year 2019-2020, the then administration introduced to the education landscape 3,000 tablets called Learn Books. This was supposed to have been a pilot program, Mr. Speaker, a pilot which commenced in February of 2020 at 13 secondary schools. These 3,000 tablets cost the government of St. Lucia $1,050,000 US, or $2,852,000 EC dollars, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, that was for the payment of license fees. License fees, Mr. Speaker, were paid to cover the cost of content for 17 subjects on those devices. Each device would cost the government of St. Lucia $150 US or 407 EC dollars in license fees annually, just for one device. By March of 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic impacted our education system and schools had to engage in distributed learning. The previous administration, Mr. Speaker, decided to flood the system with an additional 5,000 devices. They saw this as a remedy for treating the digital gap that existed then. Mr. Speaker, they had stopped the one laptop per child program which they found when they came in. And there came COVID, and they were scampering, looking for solutions, so they decided to go and get those learn books and flood the system. Mr. Speaker, what was detrimental about this was that the then government saw this device with its upload content as the solution to addressing the challenges of teaching and learning in the COVID era. Remember, Mr. Speaker, I said this started off as a pilot. A pilot which never got the benefit of being effectively executed, monitored, or evaluated. In the middle of this, content was then being reviewed and was found to be below acceptable standards. The same content that was embedded in those devices, our teachers found that the content was substandard. And you know what they did, Mr. Speaker? Teachers were paid to review the content developed by an external company. So you take a company from outside of St. Lucia, outside of the region, and you are mandating that company with no cultural sensitivity to the region to develop content for you. And every year, you are depriving people of St. Lucia basic amenities, but you are channeling millions of dollars in license fees. We decided to stop it, Mr. Speaker. We saw it as a waste of government resources, and we stopped it. And Mr. Speaker, if that was not bad enough, the tablets distributed in the thousands were not durable. In no time, students were returning their devices to the ministry, citing all kinds of faults and problems. And as Minister of Education, I could never, along with my cabinet colleagues, support this hemorrhaging of funds from our treasury. Mr. Speaker, not when I am fully aware of a system which was tried and tested and worked previously. And so, Mr. Speaker, we are now developing our own content for our secondary school students. And the amount that it is costing us, Mr. Speaker, is almost insignificant compared to the millions of dollars we were paying an external entity in the form of license fees. Mr. Speaker, we have been able to redirect some of the monies that were paid as license fees to provide scholarship opportunities for young St. Lucians who are desirous of having a university education.